All right. Are we live? I think we're live. Yes. All right. Oh, okay. Hopefully, I don't have any more technical issues this time. So, let me see if I can turn my do not disturb on. Yes. Okay. So, hello and welcome to Story Time. This is technically episode 1. I tried to do this a few days ago, but ended up having some really bad, technical issues. So hopefully now we're on the up and up here. So for today's episode of Story Time, I will be starting this book, The Plagued Ocean, Made to Suffer. I don't know if that's like a secondary title or what, or if it's like the start of a series. I really hope it's not, because if it is the start of a series, I'm gonna have to read them all. And with how god awful this book is, that's gonna be a bit of an ordeal. But if it comes down to it, I will do it, because I am nothing if not a glutton for punishment. So, let's start off by having a little look at the cover here. So obviously we have some soldier-looking folks here. I mean, it's a pretty looking picture, I guess, but nothing about these people screams soldier or warrior or anything like that. But let's go ahead and get right into it. This book, I never read this book entirely before. I got like maybe 15, 20 pages into it, and then I put it down because it's so bad. Like between grammatical errors, switches between past and present tense. I mean, it's so bad. And it happens so often. I could probably make a drinking game out of that. And every time it happens, it drives my blood pressure up just a little bit more. So, let's get right into it. The Plagued Ocean, Chapter 1, Colossal City. The year is 2400. Parts of the world are in a state of decay, while others are in an age of advanced technology and an era of peace. Most nations collapsed. The survivors built alliances and cut themselves off from the rest of the world in colossal cities. Okay, so first of all, there's our first problem. If you look here, there is a hyphen between survivors and built. Why is there a hyphen there? I don't know. It makes the entire sentence now grammatically incorrect. So, mistake number 1, the first of many. The world is cruel to those who live outside of these cities and kind to those within. All that is remaining, could shorten that down to all that remains. All that is remaining on the outside is barren, harsh, and unforgiving wastelands. I feel like that sentence could have been a bit more concise. If I were to write this, I would have said all that remains on the outside are barren, harsh, and unforgiving wastelands, because wastelands is plural. The only exceptions to the wastelands are the 8 forests of reclamation. The woods are known to be exceptionally more dangerous than the wastelands. Why is that the case? Don't know yet. Maybe it'll get revealed later on. All this was... Okay, so this particular paragraph here, let's count how many times the word war is used in this paragraph. So let's see. All this was the result of World War IV, the immoral war. The war took place in the year 2350. Every nation was at war with each other, a power struggle to be the one superpower of the world. Everything spent fighting this war, soldiers, civilians, and even livestock, were used as tools of war. So that's 6 times. 6 times in like 3 sentences that the word war was used. Couldn't come up with any other word to describe some kind of conflict between nations, between people, battles, I don't know. Skirmishes? The 5 significant nations, Northern American Alliance, NAA, Russia, United Nations of Africa, UNA, Europe Coalition, and the Southern America Coalition, SAC, were the major players of this war. 7! 7 times! And if you were not part of these 5 superpowers, your fate was sealed. How was your fate sealed? Who knows? This war, 8! 8 times! And this is one paragraph. 8 times the word war is used. This war was not a one-on-one fight. I'm surprised they didn't call it a one-on-one war. It was a battle royal. Battle royale. But they spelled it royal, because of course they did. Every nation was fighting on all fronts. Cities razed to kill a high official of the enemy forces. Okay, first of all, that's not a complete sentence. Cities razed to kill a high official of the enemy forces. Who was the high official? What nation was that high official a part of? What? Yeah, it's not a complete sentence, and I feel like the author thought that this sentence was a lot more important than it comes off as. In the year 2369, nice, the NAA, or what was that one? The Northern American Alliance, added Ireland, Scotland, Greenland, and the Caribbean Navy to their alliance. So the North America Alliance added all these European countries to their nation. I feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. What do I know? The NAA began to pull out of the war. Used it again. New paragraph, but still used it again. So I'm going to count that. That's 9. 9 times in, let me see, basically half a page. Ugh. It kills me. Let me see. The NAA began to pull out of the war and set up an unbeatable defense. The remaining nations formed a ceasefire treaty. Ceasefire is capitalized for some reason. As the result of the NAA's decision to pull out of the war. Oh my God! Stop saying war! NAA knew the war would never end. The high echelons thought of an idea to bring peace to them, build a colossal city. There should have been like a semicolon or a hyphen there. A city with impenetrable walls, highly advanced defenses. They didn't put the D at the end of advanced, so they have it written out, highly advanced defenses. And an unbeatable, I feel like that was, okay. And an unbeatable offensive force if needed. Once the other nations caught word of their plan, I feel like that should have been caught wind of their plan. Once the other nations caught word of their plan, they all followed suit and started to construct their colossal city. NAA named their city Athens, and it spans from Dallas, Texas to Seattle, Washington, and the Pacific Ocean coast. Walls that are 102 stories high, that's a very, very specific number, walls that are 102 stories high built all around Athens. That's not a complete sentence either. SAC, that was the Southern America Coalition, established their city in Peru and Bolivia. The UNA, which is the United Nations of Africa, seized the entire Middle East and built their colossal city. The Europe Coalition constructed their colossal city in France and Spain. Russia rebuilt Moscow and called it New Moscow. In the year 2410, all nations completed their colossal city. During this time, the countries changed their names. The NAA became the Aura Coalition. The SAC became the Black Rain Military. My God, you named an entire nation a military? Interesting. The UNA became the Scorpion Legion, really doubling down on all these like mysterious and badass sounding names. Russia became the Soviet Brotherhood, because of course it did. Europe Coalition became the Ark Republic. Okay. They lived a life of peace, but they are all about to have a rude awakening. Okay, so from here we're getting into our first character perspective, and this character is named Sergeant Vincent Flores. And right about here was where I really started to check out of this book. I mean, not that I wasn't before, but the way that the characters are written, the way the dialogue is written, it's bad. So Let's have fun with this. Oh, and by the way, it is written in the first person perspective because, gotta do whatever we can to help the immersion. All right, here we go. Sergeant Vincent Flores. And this is how it starts. I am 5 feet 11 inches, Hispanic descendant with black medium faded hair with slightly longer hair that is combed to the back and muscular body. That's the first sentence that's our introduction to this character. I'm going to read that one more time. I am 5 feet and 11 inches, Hispanic descendant with black medium faded hair with slightly longer hair that is combed to the back and muscular body. Wow. So, first of all, that's not a grammatically correct sentence. And secondly, I don't care exactly how tall he is. 5 feet 11 inches, who cares? And then he goes into great detail about his hair. Black medium faded hair with slightly longer hair that is combed to the back and muscular body. Yeah, I'm really picturing this character now. It's really helping me to imagine, what this character looks like. It's making me want to learn a lot more about him. I at least try to look like a soldier. Yeah, okay. My name is Vincent Flores. Anyway, it was raining hard in the sublevels of Black District again, like it never stopped. The sublevels were where all the low-income and homeless lived. I am with the 257th Military Police Battalion. They oversaw the law enforcement operations down here. I am waiting on a new soldier to come in. They usually drop them off here. It is the... Okay, yeah, this author doesn't believe in contractions. It's not... They never write it's. It's always it is. Or contractions, they just don't exist in this book for some reason. It is the closest bus stop to the base. Base is capitalized. A black automated bus parked in front of a convenience store called One Stop. Okay, so this is the first of the switch between past and present tense. So he's talking about he is waiting for the bus. He is waiting on this person. But then a black automated bus parked in front of a convenience store called One Stop. So I don't know if maybe there was like a word missing there, like a black automated bus is parked in front of there, but I'm going to assume that this sentence was written this way on purpose. So this is the first of very, very many past and present tense shifts just within the first few pages of this book. And I'm going to call them out every time I see them because that pisses me off. Let me see. Convenience store called One Stop. They had, past tense, they had pretty good coffee and bagels. One female soldier got off the bus. A short brown hair female private stepped off the bus. Couldn't say steps or stepped. It's step. A short brown hair female private step off the bus. With a gloomy expression, the rain would not stop getting in her eyes. Worst first day ever, the individual complained, wiping her eyes. Okay, so ever is capitalized. Because I assume that the author is trying to show that this person who's speaking is putting emphasis on that word. Worst first day ever. But if you're going to show emphasis on a word, you italicize it. You don't capitalize it because you capitalize places, names, and proper nouns. Which, obviously, this is none of those things. Private Klimt? I asked. Another jump to past tense. Yes, that is me. She turned to the source of the voice. That's a very odd way to refer to yourself speaking. She turned to the source of the voice. Interesting. Realizing who I was, she stood with her feet shoulder length apart and her hands joined on the small of her back, aka parade rest. Just say she stood at parade rest. Sergeant, she yells. I sighed. As you were. There is a police cruiser around the corner. Put your bags in the back. I am getting some coffee. We will have a long day today. Want some? I offered. Yes, just black. ... Please, she replied. Why? Like, why would the author show that she's hesitating to say please? Yes, just black. Please? Yeah. Let me see. Da-da-da-da-da. And another just genius showcase of a lack of contractions. There is a police cruiser. I am getting some coffee. We will have a long day. All right. Yes, just black. Dot dot dot. Please. Which is, by the way, in the same paragraph as Vincent Flores's dialogue. So they didn't have a paragraph break there to show a new person speaking. Let me see. Gotcha. Call me Sergeant Flores. I will be your sponsor and team leader. Good to meet you and all that good stuff. I'll be right back. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't already painfully apparent, the dialogue in this book is atrociously written. Nobody comes off like actual characters. They all just kind of speak like robots. It's bad. I walked into the cafe next to them. Who's them? Who's them? I saw her pick up her bags. They must be giving out a whole lot of stuff for it to be that heavy. Okay, bags is plural. It refers to something singular. I saw her pick up her bags. They must be giving out a whole lot of stuff for it to be that heavy. Jesus. I walked into One Stop. It was a pretty small shop, but that's why I like it. Faster to get my coffee and leave. I think there should have been like a semicolon between those two because that's not a complete sentence. There were these two women at the cashier arguing about how uncivilized the sublevels are. I can see how uncomfortable the cashier is. Okay, so that's another jump into present tense. So if we go back to this page, I walked into One Stop. There were these two women. I can see how uncomfortable the cashier is. Those jumps between past and present tense, they bug me. 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 I walked to the coffee stand in the back, and I can still hear them argue. Switch between past and present tense in the same sentence. I cannot believe how dirty these streets are. I should not have volunteered for this outreach program. If they don't want to help themselves, why are we trying to be nice to them? This is one of the ladies speaking. Now I know they are from the high levels. People up there are always egotistical and bullies. I like it down here. The people here are honest. Not the most respectful, but they are honest. If they hate you, they will tell you. If not, they will leave you alone. That's kind of an odd thing to say, but whatever. I walked up to the cashier and placed the coffee on the counter. Sir, can you get me a bagel with cream cheese, please? I requested. Yes, officer, right away. The older man went to prepare my food. One of the ladies looked over at me. I tried not to look at them. I am sure if I do, they will start talking again. Officer, can I ask you a question? The blonde-haired lady asked. So obviously whether or not he looked at them didn't make a difference. Yes, ma'am, I answered. How do you work down here, and how do you live with these types of people? What do you mean? This isn't that complicated. They aren't bad people, just down on their luck most of the time. I have bought a bagel and coffee from this guy for the past 4 years. He was always respectful, unlike those who reside in the upper levels. So, burn, I guess? I heard loud arguing coming from outside. Excuse me, I have to go. God damn it, you're going to die now. A man in the red hat and black t-shirt pulled out a handgun and pointed it at Clint's head. Fuck, she yelled, frozen. Okay, so first of all, those two sections of dialogue are within the same paragraph, because of course they are. And let me see. A man in the red hat and black t-shirt pulled out a handgun. So, the red hat. Is it the only red hat in this universe? Is there something special about this red hat? Why did you have to specify it's the red hat, not a red hat? Like, come on. Bang, bang. 2 shots rang through the streets. Klimt's eyes were closed. She heard the shots but felt no pain. Of course. So, yeah. So we're in first-person perspective here of this character, Sergeant Vincent Flores, but somehow now we're in Private Klimt's head, saying that she felt no pain. I mean, whenever you're writing from first-person perspective, there are certain rules that you have to follow. If the person from whose perspective you're writing from isn't in the head of this other person, then how are they going to know how they're feeling? They can make assumptions about how they're feeling. Hello, Lego Vader. Good to have you here. Yeah, when you're writing from first-person perspective, you can't have this character in the head of the other character. What's the book? So the book is The Plagued Ocean, Made to Suffer by J.S. Kins, and it's quite literally the worst book I've ever read. And so far, I'm on page 4. I'm on page 4, and I've been talking about the book more than I've been reading it because every single paragraph, there's just so much to dissect. But anyways, first person screw up. How would he know that she felt no pain? Anyways. She slowly opens her eyes, and the armed man laid in a puddle of his blood. So another switch between past and present tense. It's killing me. I'm seriously, as this book goes on and in future streams, I seriously have to make a drinking game out of this because every time that the author switches between past and present tense, I got to take a shot or something. So maybe I'll do that. Should I do that? Let me know. Dispatch, this is Unit 0887. Shots fired. I need the EMU and body disposal unit at my location. Body is capitalized for some reason. I called up to headquarters as I holstered my handgun, an M45, also known as the Dagger. The Dagger. Yeah. Could you go ahead and hand me your The Dagger? Stop. Giving nicknames to weapons doesn't automatically make them sound more interesting. I walked up to Klimt and looked for any visible wounds. You did good fighting that man, but you froze when the other pulled a gun. You need to work on your reflexes. You had 2 choices. Charge the guy and kill him with a last fatal blow, or get behind cover. I read your file, especially your GE level. You are 45% evolved, which means you are faster than most of these low-life scum, I advised. Had to put a dialogue tag at the very end of that paragraph, because of course. But, okay, so first of all, he says, you did good fighting that man. He didn't see her fight him. All he saw was the guy pull a gun and she froze. He never saw them fight. All he heard was them arguing outside. You had 2 choices. Charge the guy and kill him with a last fatal blow or get behind cover. Okay, with a last fatal blow. I don't know exactly what he means by that. I guess a first and last fatal blow, but there's a better way to convey that idea. You are 45% evolved, which means you are faster than most of these low-life scum, I advised. GE level, Klimt asks. She never heard of that term. There's a comma there between asks and she. It should have just started a new sentence, honestly. Genetic evolution level. Humans are at the point of evolving, becoming naturally faster, smarter, stronger, and flexible. Not every living being has that luxury like us, I explained, rubbing my eyes. Why was he rubbing his eyes? Is he tired? What's your GE level? Klimt asks, opening the passenger door and getting in. I turned on the truck. 100%, I replied. Okay, yeah, of course. So we have to do our best to set up this character as some kind of cybernetically augmented badass or something. I honestly think that that's probably the most characterization that we're going to get out of him, is that he's just the 100% genetically evolved badass. So from there, we're going on to another character perspective. Staff Sergeant Joaquin Unguta. I assume it's pronounced Unguta. Onguttah. Anyways. So, as we're getting into another character perspective, I can only assume that we're going to get another long-winded description of exactly what this character looks like. And of course, it's written in the first-person perspective, so obviously what's most important to them is just making sure that us as readers know what they exactly look like. So, let's get into that. The rain was relentless. Thunder was cruel, and the wind was unforgiving. Okay, so we're starting off this with past tense already. Let's see how long it takes before they switch to present tense. A firefight was raging at a rundown hospital in the middle of Kansas, deep in the desert wasteland. Bandits took cover behind cars and concrete barriers. My team of 4 OR coalition soldiers was on the roof of the hospital. We are, didn't take very long. We are currently, within the same paragraph, mind you. We are currently taking cover from the hail of gunfire training on them from the parking lot. Wait, what? We are currently taking cover from the hail of gunfire raining, on them from the parking lot. Wait a minute, so if they're on the roof, if these people are on the roof, then how is the gunfire raining on them from the parking lot? That makes no sense. Oh, all right, here we go. Staff Sergeant Joaquin Anguta, which is me, Sergeant Jane White, Specialist Seth Smith, and Private Drake Rod, very odd name, took cover on what? They have us pinned and it's no good. Everybody get your fire bombs out. Fire bombs is capitalized, by the way. 2 separate words, fire bombs, both capitalized. We will throw them at the same time. I was a quiet 6 feet 0 inches African descendant with an average body type and bald. Okay, so there's his description of what he looks like. He is a quiet 6 feet 0 inches. Got to specify 0 inches because that is monumentally important to his character. African descendant with an average body type and bald. Okay. I have a thick African accent, which makes it somewhat difficult for others to understand me, but my team understands me completely. I'm up. All the soldiers were ready and waiting. Who said I'm up? It doesn't specify. I closed my eyes, waiting for the perfect time to throw the scorching X-34 grenade, also known as firebomb. Okay, so their firebomb is all one word. Still capitalized, but it's all one word now. And again, giving it a weird nickname. And okay, so this is something that I come across with a lot of people, especially newer writers who try to write military type stuff. They always give their weapons not just the nickname, but also some kind of letter and number designation. It's usually a letter followed by a 2-digit number. Why? I don't know. I mean, maybe they've come across... I don't know. But my point is, giving that specific designation to any kind of weapon, it doesn't automatically make it seem more important. It doesn't make us feel like we relate in any way to that weapon or the use of it. It's just letters and numbers. And it doesn't make it come off as more distinctive. It just makes it come off as lazy and tired. Let me see. I'm up. All the soldiers were ready and waiting. I closed my eyes, waiting for the perfect time to throw the scorching X-34 grenade, also known as firebomb. Release, I yelled as I threw mine over my head. The bombs went off and the parking lot was saturated in flames. I feel like saturated isn't quite the right word to use there. The bandits could not escape their deaths. The screaming and the cries for help hunted me. Not haunted me, hunted me. Their screams hunted me. I never wished to make them suffer, but I had no other choice. Another switch to past tense. The mission must go on. Start taking them out, end their misery, I ordered. Why? Let them burn, Sergeant. They deserve nothing less, Rod yells with an uncomfortable smirk. Back to present tense. With an uncomfortable smirk. Okay. Because I said so. Kill them now. Stop questioning my orders. I hated Rod with a passion. Back to past tense. But I do not choose my soldiers. Back to present tense. They are assigned to me. Smith began to fire at the burning bandits, killing them with headshots, an instant kill. No shit. I mean, I don't have to be a seasoned reader or a medical professional to know that a headshot is an instant kill. I mean, I've seen John Wick. It's the right word, just so cliche. Which word was that? I'm not quite sure which word you're referring to because I've done like, I don't know, 3 paragraphs in the last couple of minutes. So yeah, if you could write down which word you're talking about, I'll address that here in a second. Jane followed suit, but Rod did not follow my orders. He stood there, watching them burn. Jane glanced over at Rod, nodding her head as she kills off the rest of the living bandits. Past and present tense in the same sentence. She glanced over at him as she kills. I slung my rifle. I watched the flames die down and the rain slowly crawls down my face. Past and present tense in the same sentence. The agonizing screams were silenced. There was an uncomfortable peace after the battle, like all the souls that were burning left the earth. I do not know why I joined the military. Maybe I needed a paycheck, but what good is blood money if all I ever feel is regret? Should have had a question mark at the end there. Just got in, audio sounds good. Perfect, good, I'm glad to hear that. Yellow Hotel Delta, this is Black Horse. Yellow Hotel Delta, YHD. I wonder what that's an anagram for. The mission is complete, ready for exfil. Exfil's capitalized, because of course it is. Proper noun, exfil. I holstered my radio on the left side of my belt. I stood over the edge of the building, looking at the scorched parking lot once more. As the rain killed the flames, I wondered what I should do about Rod. I harbored particular hate for him, even though it is ill-advised to harbor these types of feelings towards a soldier under my command. Sergeant White, may I talk to you in private? I inquired. Sergeant White was new to the corps of non-commissioned officers, but she already proved her worth to me in previous operations. You want the... Oh, come on. Let me see. Yes, Sergeant. White walked over to me. She held a specific type of respect for her superiors, especially me. She held a specific type of respect for her superiors, especially me. What's so specific about it? Yellow is not proper for Y. It should be Yankee. Oh, yes, that's right. You are absolutely right. Yellow Hotel Delta. I really have no idea. Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. The price is... Oh, must be a bot. So... okay. We did well here, but I am strongly disappointed with Private Rod's behavior. He was disobeying orders, outrageous behavior, and disrespect to a senior NCO. This isn't grammatically correct either. Yes, Lego Vader, you're absolutely right. Boo, go away, bot. Yes, absolutely. Let me see. He was disobeying orders, outrageous behavior, and disrespect to a senior NCO. All those I do not tolerate or enjoy. No shit. Like I don't have to, you don't have to specify that you don't enjoy it if you don't tolerate it. I mean, that's, semantics. This behavior is punishable under ACCJ 457.2A. I guess that's their soldier's manual, handbook, code of ethics, something? I would like you to start the paperwork for an Article AC-45, I ordered with a crinkled nose. Why did we have to know that his nose was crinkled? Did he say the entire thing with a crinkled nose? Let me see. We did well here, but I am strongly disappointed with Private Rod's behavior. My nose is crinkled. Stop. Adding these descriptive behaviors after a dialogue tag doesn't make what they're doing sound more important. It just makes me confused because it's like, why are you having these behaviors when you're saying this thing? Like, are you smelling something weird as you're saying, write up an Article AC-45? It sounds so super duper official. Oh yes, of course. Because a whole bunch of letters and a whole bunch of numbers followed by dot something something is the most surefire way to make something sound official. You are absolutely right. Let me see. White did not want to argue with me because she knew I was right about Rod's behavior. She never liked the idea of handing out an Article AC-45, whatever that is. I guess it's like an insubordination clause. Maybe he's allergic to an AC-45. I mean, honestly, I mean, with the way that this is written so far, I could almost guess that an AC-45 is a gun. With the way that this is written. Let me see. It is a surefire way to destroy someone's career in the military. Sergeant, may I request another option for Rod's punishment? White requested. What is it? I crossed my arms and sighed. He is relatively new to the Army. I think I can correct, because correct is in quotes, it's also capitalized. I think I can correct his behavior through a series of vigorous workouts and redundant tasks as the squad's caddy boy, also capitalized. White insisted, crossing her arms and leaning against the wall behind her. Do it. If that doesn't... ... If that doesn't work, then it will add more strength behind the article, Sergeant, White interrupted. A black and yellow aircraft called the Ravaging Unicorn hovered on the edge of the building and opened the rear ramp. Okay, so first of all, black is capitalized. A black and yellow aircraft, black is capitalized because that's the most important descriptor of this aircraft, called the Ravaging Unicorn. Okay, yeah, that doesn't exactly make your aircraft sound like anything a soldier would want to get into. Hovered on the edge of the building and opened the rear ramp. How do you hover on something? You can hover over something. You don't hover on things, because to hover kind of implies that you're above the surface. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me being nitpicky. Let me see. And opened the rear ramp. I picked up my bags, walked over to Rod, and shoved them in his arms. Get on the bird. Bird is capitalized. Don't worry about your equipment. Private Rod will take care of it. Just keep your weapons on you. I and the rest got on the aircraft while Rod struggled to get everyone's stuff on the plane. Staff Sergeant Unguta, the command is on the line for you. Pick up the comms next to the head seat and press 5A, the pilot informs. So, rampaging hamster. Yes, exactly. Let's just go all the way with it. What we could say, burning squirrel, or flying guinea pig, or machine gun toting poodle, something. The Ravaging Unicorn. That sounds like nothing that any self-respecting military would name their aircraft. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this author got inspiration from an actual military unit that named their vehicle something like that. What do I know? I'm just the outsider looking in, I guess. Let's see. Let me see. Pick up the comms next to the head seat and press 5A. So this pilot is having to tutor this staff sergeant on how to answer a comm? You would think that he would know how to do that, seeing as he's a veteran, but again, what do I know? Maybe he's new to the force. Yes, Chief. I picked up the communication module next to the head seat and pressed the 5A key. Well, I mean, if you just answered with, yes, Chief, I don't think I need to know the steps that you took to answer that, because the steps were already laid out for us when the pilot was telling him how to do it. Ooh. Staff Sergeant Unguta to command. I pressed my lips with a slight frown. Staff Sergeant Unguta, this is a command. This is a command. Oh, okay. So it's not command, it's command giving a command. Because, we really need to know. Upon return, you and your team will be transferred to Blue District and report to Blue District Headquarters Command for your new duty mission. So, command was used 3 times in 2 sentences. This author really needs to pick up a thesaurus at some point, because between the word war being used 9 times in less than 2 paragraphs and now the word command being used 3 times in 2 sentences, I think a thesaurus would have done this author a lot of good. Let me see. Did you say you and your team? Is my entire team getting transferred there? I never heard of a team transfer. I put in a request to move to another station after my re-enlistment, but I did not plan on going with my entire team. Yes, Staff Sergeant. Battle General Gospel, interesting, Battle General Gospel, has requested a good team from the Yellow District Command. Battle General Highland accepted and gave him your team. ... For some reason. Congratulation! Not congratulations, congratulation. Yeah, just one singular congratulation. You will be working directly under the Iron Hawk. Command out. So they talk a lot about districts here, but I mean, we don't know how big these districts are. We don't know how many there are. We don't know what separate or what makes one different from the other than what color they're called. Okay. Fuck, I yelled in my mind. Okay. As much as I love my team, I did not want to see Rod again. The aircraft was 2 hours out from Athens. Team, I have an announcement to make. Command has informed me that we as a team will be transferred to Blue District Headquarters to work directly under Battle General Gospel, also known as the Iron Hawk, I informed them, leaning back in my seat. Directly under the Iron Hawk? Do you know what that means? White seemed overexcited by those words. The Iron Hawk was among the war heroes, wars capitalized, the war heroes in Battleground Blood and Bone, a deadly battle with one of the most infamous bandit group called Blood Red Dragons. Okay, so bandit is capitalized with one of the most infamous bandit group called Dragoons, not dragons, Blood Red Dragoons. Very badass sounding name, of course. He was just a lieutenant at the time. Yes and no, I replied. This means that if we are working directly under him, ... we are going to be part of a task force, ... most likely Juliet Task Force, ... This is big, Sergeant. We will also be working with a combat rogue and a stealth rogue. This is probably the best opportunity we will have in ages, ... Only 1 in 10,000 teams get selected to be in a task force. That's a lot of teams. White may have overestimated those numbers, but she is not wrong about the difficulty of getting a task force. Yeah, I really wish that this author would just buckle down and use contractions, because I hate, this is. Oh no, that I can't contract that. Duh. I hate we will. She is. I mean, I don't think this author has used a single contraction since the very first page. A task force works directly under a battle general. For this reason, silver, purple, and green districts do not have a task force. What reason is that? I mean, what difference does that make? What's so special about these districts that they don't have a task force or a battle general? Are they super peaceful? We don't know. Blue, red, yellow, and black districts are the only ones who have them. Yellow and black have the highest number of task forces, but red and blue have the best skilled task forces among them. So I guess one favors quality over quantity? I guess? The wasteland communities have fabled horror stories about them, but the most shared story was the Red Lion Killers, in quotes. They were the most feared because they were the most used. They always completed their missions, and they have never lost a soldier. They work under Battle General Selena, the Bleeding Lion. They're giving all these people these stupid nicknames, and it doesn't make them sound more badass. It just comes off as tired and lazy, and just, you can't give somebody a nickname like that and expect us to automatically think that they're some kind of crazy soldier. I mean, and the Bleeding Lion. I mean, honestly, if it were me, I would have gone with something shorter and more concise, like The Lion or just Bleeding Lion. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Ballistic X vs. Sever. It has Antonio Banderas in it. And that movie had kind of the same thing in it. So Ray Park, who you might know as the body of Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace and the Solo film, had a part in that film. And His nickname, I don't remember what his real name was, but his nickname was the Prince of Darkness. Like these long, tired nicknames don't make somebody sound cool. If it, nicknames should be like 3 syllables or less. That's what I'm thinking, because whenever the nickname takes longer to say than the actual name, then what's the point of having the nickname in the first place? Lego Vader, worst movie ever. I mean, yeah, it's definitely up there, and it's so terrible. Nothing about that movie was done right, and especially with the soundtrack too. There's only so long that I can sit back and listen to before it just really grates on the nerves. I mean, even that was already annoying. Let me see. They work under Battle General Selena, the Bleeding Lion, and she was a force to be reckoned with. Some put her over Battle General Gospel, but no one knew who a better fighter was. Okay. I was 2 years away from retiring. Ha! We have to have a retirement story in there. That's how you know this guy is going to die. And heading over to Silver District to live my life in peace. A dream I knew was swept away from me. Looks like we will be in a task force. I sat in my seat quiet and nervous. I mean, obviously, them being in a task force was already established, so we don't need him to reaffirm that with a singular line of dialogue. I mean, it makes no difference in the end. Okay, so let me see here. I've got one. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this chapter. There are just a couple of pages left here. So we're getting our next character perspective, Major Maria Lewis. So I'm sure this is going to be another bundle of joy, and I'm guessing that probably within the first 3 or so paragraphs we're going to get a long physical description of what this character looks like. First person, of course. The sun was radiant on the day of the rogue initiation ceremony, an event people in Purple District looked forward to. That's not a complete sentence. The streets were covered with vendors mainly selling products sponsored by the Rogue Training Division, RTD. Okay. Kids would come to see what new technologies they must show. What new technologies they must show. Okay. And to find a new favorite rogue to fall in love with. Rogues were orphans who agreed to join the Aura Coalition military. Unlike other regular soldiers, these orphans were vetted by their genetics and recruited by the RTD. They were not forced to be in this program. Many said no, and they were left alone. Rogues are rare. Only a few in thousands were able to spot them. The only place that people can get a guaranteed glance of rogues was at the Rogue Initiation Ceremony, which is the reason why it is one of the most popular events. The ceremony only happens every 4 years. Every time this event showed, companies would release new technology or display upcoming products. Okay, so let me see. In just those 2 paragraphs, how many times is the word rogue used? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times in 2 paragraphs. Couldn't come up with anything else to call them. Attention, attention. The ceremony will begin in 30 minutes. Please start making your way to the Mist Theater. The Mist Theater? Okay. The announcer yells over a microphone. Microphone is capitalized. As people began to make their way to the theater. Again, another switch between past and present tense. It's killing me. There was no rush. The theater was huge, and the capacity can fit millions of people at a time. How big is this theater that it can fit millions of people? And not just a million, but millions? Multiple millions? How big is this theater? A girl came up to the announcer and tugged his pants. "Oh yes, my lady. How may I help you?" the announcer asks kindly. "Sir, how can I become a rogue?" the little girl asks. The man did not know how to answer. "Be a good girl. Do you have any parents?" There's a semicolon in there for some reason. The man asks. "No, they were killed." The girl turns away. "Oh, my lady, I am sorry." So the author spelled awe as AWWE, not just AWW. I mean, I feel like whenever I read that, I should read it as oh. I don't know why. It sounds weird. It's the little things my brain does to make this story as engaging as possible. I didn't mean to bring bad memories. Listen, one day they will come to get you and ask you if you want to be a rogue. Once that day comes, say yes. By the way, what's your name? So there's a lot of dots in there too. One day they will come to ask you if you want to be a rogue, Once that day comes, say yes, By the way, what's your name? Mill. She smiled at the man before running away. The man watched her run away. Mill, Why repeat her name? Are you trying to commit it to memory? Are you trying to get us to commit it to memory? I can only assume that this girl's going to be maybe a major character, maybe somebody of importance later on in the story. So let's see. As I finish this book over the next few weeks, let's see if Mill ever comes back. 4 hours into the ceremony, rogues stood in line, gossiped about their assigned task force. Not grammatically correct at all. Ruin, I was assigned to the 24th Romeo Task Force. One of the rogues rejoiced. Great, Viper, I got 11th Quebec Task Force. Ruin laughed. So I guess Ruin and Viper are the names of these rogues. Rogues are called by the names given in the Rogue Academy. During their training, the rogues were given a genetic enhancement treatment. A genetic enhance treatment. I read it wrong the first time. It's just they're given a genetic enhance treatment. They have features that make them physically different than other people. So basically, they're like this book's version of Spartans from Halo. I guess that's kind of what the author's trying to imply here. Some inspiration was taken. But here we go. This is where it gets kind of funny. So this is describing what happens after their genetic enhance treatment. Their hair changed to unnatural color, like blue, dark red, green, and other colors. The white part of their eyes is black, and their iris, capitalized, also has false colors like their hair. False color? What's a false color? I mean, any kind of color is a color. What makes it a false color? I mean, it's not natural to their body, sure, but it was brought about by the result of genetic enhance treatment. So what about it makes it false? Whatever. The white part of their eyes is black, and their iris also has false colors like their hair. This treatment also put the rogue among the strongest, smartest, and fastest humans on Earth, even to the 1% that is completely evolved. Shadow, what did you get? A medium short blue hair. Another long description, here we go. A medium short blue hair, her iris is green. She stood at 5 feet and 10 inches with a slim but athletic body. Eye shadow, so I guess that's the character perspective, Maria Lewis. Eye Shadow was one of the highest scoring rogues amongst my class. The higher the score, the lower level they were given. The level shows how skilled and what rank the rogues are. The scale for the rogues is different from the enlisted and commissioned soldiers in the military. The lower their level, the higher their rank. Level 300 to 200 were third lieutenants. Level 200 to 100 were second lieutenants. Level 100 to 75 were captains. Level 75 to 50 were majors. 50 to 25 were colonels. 25 to 10 were general officers. Or maybe, is that 25 to negative 10? There's a dash in front of it. The ranks go in the negative numbers? Okay. There are only 4 rogue generals in the AC military. Juliet first, ... Not Romeo 32nd, ... Complete bullshit. I'm told with my level, I would get into I would get my preferred task force, ... This must be a mistake. What did you get, Poison? I was not in the best of moods, being the first rogue to leave the academy as a major. I requested to go to Romeo 32nd Task Force with my boyfriend, but the powers to be needed me elsewhere. It's the powers that be, not the powers to be. They have me in Quebec 2nd. I will be working with the Battle General Lurk. ... So excited, Poison sarcastically stated, leaning against the wall and crossed her arms. I'm sorry. He is just terrible, I laughed. For the next rogue, she ranked the highest amongst her classes and other classes. The first rogue to attain the rank major in decades. Her name is Maria Lauren Lewis, also known as Shadow, the announcer introduced. Okay. I feel like noting that the announcer was talking should have been stated at the beginning of that paragraph, because I just read all that like I was reading dialogue from one of the other people talking. Well, I'll see you on the other side, Poison, I waved as I stepped onto the stage. The spotlight shined on me, but I was unaffected by its brightness. The crowd was applauding, and I could hear something the crowd was shouting. You are amazing! The best rogue ever! Bring victory to Athens! A girl in the front of the crowd, looked upon me as if she just saw her hero. The little girl closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and shouted, Don't ever fail, Shadow! I want to be just like you! My name is Mill, and I'll surpass you! Oh, Mill came back! Oh, bringing the story full circle! She opened her eyes, and the crowd was silent. Her voice echoed through the stands. So the shouting of this little girl somehow silenced a theater of millions of people? How? How does the shouting of a little girl silence a theater of millions? Maybe she has a megaphone built into her vocal cords. I don't know. I stopped in front of her, kneeled to get a closer look at the little girl named Mill. Then you better promise me one thing, girl. I extended my right arm out, my hands curled into a fist. You better catch up. Mill was paralyzed. She did not know I would stop or the crowd to stop shouting. She reached out with her left hand and hugged her hand around my fist. This was a show of respect and promise. Okay. I smiled and stood up. I'll see you soon, Mill. I walked to the center of the stage. From that day on, I was the driving inspiration for Mill's dreams. Okay, I mean, it's nice to assume that, but how do you know that? Again, this is another problem with writing, first person. You can't get in another character's head. It doesn't work that way unless they're telepathic. Juliet first. Damn my luck, she whispered to herself. What? I'm not even going to try. Whatever. The ceremony went on and on. People came and went. They bought the best technology and pre-ordered the upcomings. Okay. Being the primary revenue of the Rogue Development Division, they did not have to worry about funds when it comes to researching and developing new exoskeleton suits for their rogues. Every time the rogue got promoted, they received a new outfit with state of the modern. I feel like it should have said state of the art modern technology, but it just says with state of the modern technology advancing their abilities and strength. So it's like a Spartan suit. More inspiration from Halo. The days were calm and the nations were silent, but the storms are forming. The darkness was creeping, and the silent days of peace and prosperity will have a rude awakening. Little did they know, death finished her planning. What does that mean? So writing from the first person perspective in mostly present tense, because I assume, with the way that all these characters are written, I assume that the author was wanting to convey everything mostly in the present tense. So how would this character know that little did they know, death finished her planning? What? Is she saying that a war is going to happen? If this is in present tense, how would she know? How would she know? Ooh, Okay, so that's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is starting off with back with the perspective of Sergeant SFC Vincent Flores. Oh, his rank has changed. Special Forces something maybe? I don't know. I'm not going to try and decipher all this right now. But that was chapter 1. And yeah, I mean, if you've been listening along for most of this time, it's bad. It's really bad. The dialogue doesn't make sense. Well, okay, it makes sense, but it's like an early AI wrote it. It's rife with typos, grammatical errors, incomplete sentences, jumps between past and present tense. You have no sense of time or location, because we don't know where they are. They say that these people occupy different districts. Well, what makes these districts unique? I mean, and I'm not saying, give us all the information right at the beginning, because that's a pet peeve of mine, to have an author spend a whole lot of time at the very beginning of the book basically describing everything to do with this world. But at the same time, there are ways to convey a sense of time and place without having to give us all the details on a silver platter. So this author really should have... Well, first of all, this book should have gone through an editor. This author should have hired an editor just to go through and mark off all of these, incomplete sentences, grammatical errors, syntax errors, jumps between past and present tense. This book would be nothing but red pen at the end of that. Nothing but red pen. And I really feel like this book comes off as first draft. But I'm going to read it. And I'm going to read it on stream for all of you guys because, like I said, I am a glutton for punishment. So this book is... This book is 195 pages long, and so far I have only made it to page 14. I've only made it to page 14. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, this wraps up the first episode of Cam and Focus Story Time. Thank you for joining me, Lego Vader, Grand Poobah. I really appreciate you coming out and engaging in the chat with me. It was a lot of fun, despite, my blood pressure probably spiking a bit right now because of all the frustration of that damn book. But yeah, so thank you again for joining me. I've been Cam of Cam and Focus, episode 1 of Story Time. I'm not sure what my schedule for streaming is going to be just yet. I'm still kind of new to all this. Once I know exactly what day I'm going to consistently stream these episodes, I might honestly make it every Thursday morning. I typically have Thursdays off from work, so I might be every Thursday morning at about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. But I'll drop it on the in the GNN Greats group, so that way I can do what I can to ensure that you guys never miss a stream. So 14 pages into this book, and I'm already losing my shit. So bad. But thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys more than likely next Thursday. So how do I stop this? End.